Okay, so hello everyone, and kia ora, hope I got it right, to our friends from New Zealand. A very good morning to most of you, and of course, a very good morning to our partners from New Zealand as well. On this special day for all Sri Lankans as we celebrate 73 years of independence, I extend a warm welcome to everyone who have joined this webinar hosted jointly by the Asian Institute of Business and Science here in Sri Lanka and Up Education in New Zealand. My name is Hiran De Silva, Director and CEO of AIBS. It's a pleasure to see a number of prospective students as well as representatives from the international higher education consultancy sector. Great to have some industry friends in the audience. This webinar will focus on the benefits of the Foundation Preparation Pathway Program, leading to completion of the Certificate in Foundation Studies offered by 3 top universities in New Zealand: the University of Auckland, Auckland University of Technology, and the Victoria University of Wellington. On completion, this Certificate in Foundation Studies will allow students with IGCSE or O-levels direct entry to these 3 universities to pursue a bachelor's degree of their choice. Now, the 3 universities have appointed Up Education, one of the foremost higher education institutions in New Zealand, to deliver the Certificate in Foundation Studies program on their behalf. Up to now, any international student who wishes to pursue this Certificate in Foundation Studies must go to New Zealand to follow the program. So here's the good news. Up Education, with the blessings of the 3 universities, has entered into an exclusive partnership with AIBS for AIBS to deliver a part of the Certificate in Foundation Studies program in Sri Lanka. This part of the program delivered in Sri Lanka is called the FPP, or the Foundation Preparation Pathway. You will hear more about this during this webinar. Today, we have 4 resourceful presenters from New Zealand who will talk to you on the merits and opportunities in pursuing the FPP and progression to these 3 universities. The first presenter is Mr. Richard Kensington, Principal Academic Relations at Up Education. Richard has served the education sector for over 46 years, holding positions such as Deputy Principal, Trustee, Registrar, and Principal Academic Relations in secondary and post-secondary academic institutions. He has been instrumental in the development and rollout of the FPP program and implementing the offshore pathway partnerships like the one with AIBS. Following from Richard will be Mr. Ryan Geman, International Manager at the University of Auckland. Ryan has worked in the international higher education sector for the last 8 years in the UK, Australia, and New Zealand, with extensive experience in study abroad, student exchange, international recruitment, and student experience. He is now the International Manager for the Faculty of Engineering at New Zealand's leading research-led university. Ryan will be followed by Mr. Marcel Fletcher, Regional Manager, India and Subcontinent at the Auckland University of Technology. Marcel too has over 15 years cross-sector experience in the international education industry, having worked at universities in the UK, Australia, and New Zealand. He has worked across a number of regions and markets, including Southeast Asia, the Middle East, as well as the subcontinent. Marcel will hand over proceedings to Ms. Andrea MacLeod-Kareem, International Regional Manager at the Victoria University of Wellington. Andrea has been with Victoria University of Wellington for almost 3 years, responsible for marketing and recruitment of international students. She has also served as Immigration Manager for Immigration New Zealand for almost 6 years, adding value to her work in international student advisory and recruitment. So as I said before, a truly resourceful panel of speakers ready to speak to you today. Before we move on to the presentations, I would like to highlight some housekeeping tips. Please keep your audio muted at all times until we permit the question and answers. We will have one Q&A session at the end of these presentations, and you will be given an opportunity to post your questions. You can also type your questions on the chat box so that we can collate and answer them during the Q&A. So without any further ado, may I request Mr. Richard Kensington to take over the proceedings. Over to you, Richard.
Thank you, Haran, and welcome everybody. I'll just share my screen. And you should be seeing a picture of a lake in the South Island, New Zealand.
We do it clearly. Thank you.
That's good. So haere mai, welcome. Just to remind everybody where New Zealand is, we are a small country in the South Pacific, about 3 hours flying time from Australia, and in a very safe part of the world as we go through this terrible situation with COVID at the moment. It is a safe place. It's been, many surveys have shown it's the best place for education. It's the least corrupt country, and it's a very peaceful place to study and to work. You can also have fun in New Zealand. There's lots of exciting things to do. And that's just an example of bungee jumping in Queenstown and in the tourist area in the South Island of New Zealand. It's also a great place to study. We have strong ethnic communities here. As a country, we're of a similar size to the UK, United Kingdom. We have 5 million people. The UK has 65 million people in the same area of land. So you can understand we have a lot of land. We're free to move about. What are some of the reasons why parents want to send their children offshore is they want their children to attend a top university for their education. They want a safe country. They want a country that's going to deliver academic success. And ultimately, in this day and age, for many parents, their son or daughter can get employment, can get residency. And for many countries, it's also a place where parents can regard it as their superannuation scheme. Once their son and daughter is in place in a country, they can apply to bring their parents through to live with them. New Zealand is lucky or very fortunate that we have 8 universities. They are all exceptionally good universities. They're all owned by the New Zealand government, which is not the same in many countries. And we are very fortunate at Up Education being able to work with 3 of the leading universities, the University of Auckland and AUT University in Auckland, and Victoria University of Wellington in our capital city, Wellington. Ryan and Marcel and Andrew will talk a little bit more about their universities, but the University of Auckland is New Zealand's #1 university in terms of ranking on the QS ranking scheme. AUT University is the highest ranked millennial university in the world, in Australasia, and number 14 in the world. It's rapidly grown from being an institute of technology. And if you go back nearly 80 years, my mother attended that institution when it was actually a technical college. Victoria University of Wellington is located in our capital city, and that is the same picture in the background, the Hunter building that Andrea is showing in her image. So what is FPP, the Foundation Preparation Pathway Program? I refer it to FPP all the time because when you say it in words, it becomes a bit of a tongue twister. It's an opportunity for students who already meet the entry requirements to enroll in a 1-year foundation program that we deliver in New Zealand, but to do part of the program offshore, and obviously at a reduced cost. They're also saving on living expense costs, dealing with visas and everything else like that. And it also means that parents know that if their son or daughter is successful in this program, then they're almost assured, long as you continue to work at the same level in New Zealand, that you will be successful in New Zealand. So students to enter this program need to have an English level equivalent to an IELTS of 5, And in terms of the GCSE world, a couple of Bs and a couple of C passes is generally the minimum. The program itself, the total length is 18 weeks. The first 17 weeks involves work in the study areas, and the study areas involved are English for IELTS. If you happen to have an IELTS of 6 or higher, then you've already met the English requirements and you don't need to study the English part of the program. Students need to select 3 academic subjects to study, and also tertiary study skills, which is a subject that focuses on essay writing, note-taking, footnotes, how to do presentation, how to work in groups, and that sort of thing. The program itself is guaranteed or provides guarantees, which basically means if you successfully complete the FPP program within the requirements, then we guarantee you a place in the foundation study in New Zealand. Or if because of COVID, we have to deliver that part online, we guarantee you a place online. If you complete the foundation program in New Zealand and meet the requirements on the offer letter that the universities provide, the universities will guarantee you a place in the next intake or sometimes the next intake after that into a degree program that you want to study. So I can assure you that it is a guarantee, and we have delivered the University of Auckland program since 1998, and we've been working with AUT in Victoria since the early 2000s, and this guarantee is implicit. So the program itself, I've got a similar diagram for the other 2 universities, but essentially speaking, to complete entry, you need your IGCSE, you study the program for 18 weeks, and at the end, how do you exit the program? With the 3 academic subjects, there will be an online exam, which is 2 hours in duration. But the English evidence, you require an IELTS, and tertiary study skills, you will do an internal assignment in the school, which the college will mark, but you must get 50%. So in each subject, you must get 50% for it to count. So to get into the 2-term or 5-month University of Auckland accelerated program, for the 3 academic subjects, you need to get a GPA of greater than 85%. So that's an average of 85%. So you could get 2 at 90 and 1 at, say, 80, as long as it averages at 85%. You need an IELTS of 6, and you need to pass tertiary study skills. If you only got a lower GPA at 75%, or you can only get an IELTS of 5.5, then we can still offer you a place, but it's in a slightly longer program. So the foundation program itself for the University of Auckland involves 1 compulsory subject, which is English for academic purposes, and then you have a choice of 4 other academic subjects to study. And if you're doing the accelerated course, you'll do each of those subjects for 2 terms. If you're in the 1-year course, you do each subject for 12 months at a time. At the end of the course, you must pass each of the subjects. You must get a B for EAP, or English for academic purposes. And how does the university decide whether they'll take you into the university or not? Each subject, oops, I haven't got that slide there. Each subject or degree at the university has a minimum score that you need to achieve. So if you wanted to get into engineering at the University of Auckland, currently you need to get in the 4 academic subjects 270 out of 400, and you need to get an EAP mark of B+ or an IELTS of 6.5. If you meet those requirements and you've studied physics and calculus, then the University of Auckland will guarantee you a place in engineering. If you're interested to study a Bachelor of Arts degree, say majoring in anthropology, then the mark that you require is lower and the EAP result is lower. So you need an EAP result of B, and you need 230 out of 400 to get to the university. The same FPP program is also used to deliver options for students who want to study with the Victoria University in Wellington and AUT University in Auckland. And both of them are on the same chart because both of them have a similar structure program, which is different to the University of Auckland program. But essentially speaking, if you want to do their 2-term program, you need to have a GPA of greater than 80% and an IELTS of 6 or an equivalent to an IELTS. Why do I say or equivalent to an IELTS? Because we can accept TOEFL or Pearson or some of the other English tests for this pathway. And secondly, once you actually get into the program, you actually have to study English each term in the 2 terms of the program. If you get 70% GPA or only an IELTS of 5.5, we can offer you a place in a 3-term program or 8 to 9 months. And likewise, if it's a GPA of 50%. So every person who is enrolled in the FPP program who gets greater than 50% GPA is guaranteed a place in a foundation program in New Zealand as long as they get an IELTS level above a 5. The higher the GPA, the higher the IELTS, the quicker the amount of time that you will save in New Zealand in your program of study. When you come to study the AUT Foundation, the program has a different structure to the University of Auckland program. There are 4 compulsory subjects. Each takes a term: English 1, English 2, Culture and Society, and Tertiary Study Skills. The Tertiary Study Skills course in the AUT program is very similar to the TSS course you would actually do in the FPP program. So you've got 4 compulsory subjects, and then there's optional subjects. There are 4 of those. So you would study algebra for 1 term, have a final assessment, and that would be the assessment for that subject. Statistics, 1 term, final assessment, that is the assessment for the subject. So you only study these subjects for 1 term at a time, but you have to study 4 of them. The Victoria program is very similar in some ways, but is also different. They have 4 compulsory subjects, which are slightly different to the Auckland ones. They have instead of having tertiary study skills, they have introductory mathematics. If you have a good score in IGCSE maths, I can assure you, you will pass introductory mathematics. English 1, English 2, you do 1 in term 1, 1 in term 2, and in Culture and Society. And then in terms of optional subjects, depending on the subjects in the mix, it can be up to 6 subjects you will need to study, but each of those is only for a term at a time. Having these 3 foundation programs we deliver, you can, with your evidence at the moment, could apply to study a 12-month foundation program. And subject to getting a visa or being able to do it online, we would offer you a place. But FPP is enabling you to do half the program in the classroom, in Sri Lanka, in Colombo, and being able to shorten the length of time that you actually need to study the program in New Zealand. So here's just an example here for Wellington. Wellington, Victoria, every one of their degree pathways, you just need to get 50%. 50% in each subject, 50% in the compulsory subjects. The only difference is, and it's not on this page here, is education, where you actually also need to get an IELTS of 7 to get into to study teaching. We can provide you with more detailed, or the college can provide you with more detailed copies of each university's foundation prospectus, which actually provides more details and what I've been trying to quickly present here. But students always ask about scholarships, and there are scholarships. And the greatest value scholarship will be awarded to the top student. So the top student in a graduation will get a scholarship of $5,000. So every cohort, every group of students that graduate in Sri Lanka will be, the top student will get a $5,000 scholarship. Every student who meets the requirements for a 2-term foundation program will automatically get a $3,000 scholarship. So in essence, the top student could end up with $8,000 coming off the advertised fee. But the important thing is to note, we have an agreement between the agency, the school, and us, which says that the student needs to work with the same agent the whole time if they want to retain the scholarship. So students are free to move to other agents, but the scholarship is not transferable. So just presenting it in a different way to how Hiran actually talked about it at the start. If you look at the top line there, a student in Sri Lanka has finished IGCSE. They have still got 2 more years of school, and they can either do them in New Zealand or they can do them in Sri Lanka. In other words, they need to finish A-levels. They can then apply for direct entry to the university. If you go to the second to bottom line, a student who has finished IGCSE can apply to enter standard entry, and they will take 4 years of study to be able to graduate and then apply for a 3-year post-study work visa in New Zealand. But for students of the FPP program, they only need to study 3.5 years in New Zealand because they've done half the program in Sri Lanka. So really the advantage of FPP, the advantage of foundation for students who are successful in IGCSE is to get them through university and to complete a 3-year degree 1 year earlier than they normally would have. And that is my very quick summary at this point in time of the FPP program. We have students in, I can't stop sharing. We have students in about 14 countries at the moment who are about to study the FPP program. We are in Africa, we are in India, Sri Lanka, we're in Indonesia, parts we're going to be in Myanmar, in Bangkok, in Vietnam, in China, and in Brazil. So the interest in this program is growing, and you will be one of the first providers to be up and running here in Sri Lanka. So thank you, Hiran, for the opportunity to present.
Thank you, Richard. Thank you very much for those insights. May I now request Mr. Ryan Gammon to take over?
Yeah. Thank you, Hiran, and thank you, Richard. I'm just going to share my screen. So a massive kia ora to everyone, and thank you for allowing us to join today and present to you a brief introduction about the University of Auckland. So let's get started. It's actually quite crazy to think the whole situation that we're currently in relation to COVID-19, because in December 2019, I was actually in Colombo. So I look forward to when travel restrictions are reduced and I'm able to travel back to Colombo. It'd be great to come and visit you as well, Hiran, and your students as well. Thank you. So I thought I would start on a brief introduction about why studying in New Zealand, but I think Richard did a fantastic job. The only thing I would comment, Richard, is your slide which said having fun traveling in and around New Zealand was someone jumping and doing a bungee. I actually will be doing a bungee jump this Saturday off Harbour Bridge, so I'll let you know if it's fun or not.
Well, I've done it in Queenstown, and I jumped 180 meters, and it was fun at the time, but I'll never do it again.
So yeah, I'm sort of looking forward to it and sort of not, but yeah, I'll let you know if it's fun. But as Richard said, it's a fantastic place to live, study and work, and I've been lucky enough to live in California in America, the United Kingdom, Australia, and there's a reason I've chosen to settle in New Zealand. It truly is the most amazing place on the planet. But that's my opinion, and as Richard highlighted, there are some fantastic stats which highlight why New Zealand is a great place to live and study, and I've just listed some of those here. So second in the world for prosperity, third in the world for human rights, second in the world for peacefulness, number one in the world for ease of doing business. That may have changed slightly. We're still in the top 3, but a great place for starting a business as well. And again, more stats just really confirming why New Zealand is one of the best places to live, study and work. I also just wanted to quickly highlight, the current situation, the pandemic, and how New Zealand has performed in amongst other countries. So the New Zealand government took a go hard, go early approach, and that's really paying dividends as of now. Recent stats that have come out, I believe, by Bloomberg, which basically says that New Zealand is ranked number 1 in the world in dealing with COVID-19. So we're really, really lucky in New Zealand in how the government has handled the pandemic. As it currently stands, we have around 60 cases in New Zealand, and all of those are in managed quarantine, which is great. We're currently at alert level 1, and so myself, Richard and Marcel, I believe you're all based in Auckland. We're able to freely move around country, and life is essentially back to normal, which is fantastic. We do hope that those of you in Sri Lanka with the vaccination program, and that if that speeds up, that you too will also be back to normal as soon as possible. So why study at the University of Auckland? And Richard already highlighted some fantastic facts about all of the universities that are here today, but just a few extra facts about the University of Auckland. So we are continually ranked in the top 100 in the QS World Rankings, and we're currently ranked 81st in the world as of 2021. We also have around 13 subjects which are ranked in the top 50. Those include archaeology, education, pharmacy, pharmacology, nursing, civil and structural engineering, psychology, anthropology, and the list goes on. Subjects outside of that are normally ranked in the top 100 or top 200 in the world. So you can be confident if you are sending your children or you are thinking about study at the University of Auckland, that you are studying at not only the #1 institution in New Zealand, but also one of the top ranked institutions in the world. I also just want to quickly highlight as well that we are ranked in the top 100 for graduate employability for students as well. Now, there is another ranking which has come out for universities, which is in relation to the Sustainable Development Goals, and that's the Global Impact Rankings via the Times Higher Education. So New Zealand is a world leader in meeting some of those sustainable development goals. But alongside that, the University of Auckland is the world leader, which we're extremely proud of. So for 2 years on the trot in 2019 and 2020, the University of Auckland is ranked #1 in the world in the Times Higher Education Global Impact Rankings. And that's a measurement against the sustainable development goals, how we embed that in our curriculum and what we instill in our students, which is increasingly becoming more and more important, not only in the business sense and work sense, but also the wider community. So again, a great place to study. How are we helping to combat COVID-19 in New Zealand and across the world? So, you know, we are the #1 research-led university, and we're home to over 60 different research centres and institutes. And our institutes are helping to combat COVID-19. For example, our Auckland Bioengineering Institute are helping to model transmission infection based on different government policies and how that might affect transmission and infection. And we've shared that model across the world. And again, we're also open, our testing and lab facilities are being used to help test those who might have COVID-19 across New Zealand and those inbound as well. So lots of help that we're providing the government, New Zealand and the world in helping combat COVID-19. I thought I'd just quickly highlight as well some of the support that we have provided international students through the pandemic. So we provided fee waivers for doctoral and research students. We have a $3 million hardship fund for students who have been affected by the pandemic. We've reduced accommodation fees, provided online study buddies, and the list truly does go on. So, you know, if the pandemic was to continue, unfortunately, and you were studying at the University of Auckland, you'd be pleased to know that there's a huge range of support that we are providing international students with. So where are we? Where are we located? So just like AUT, we're right in the centre of the city of Auckland, and the city of Auckland is the largest city in New Zealand. As Richard mentioned, New Zealand only has a population of around 5 million people, and the city of Auckland has a population of around 1.5 million. So roughly a third of the country live in the city of Auckland, which is great. That means there's a lot of fantastic work opportunities post completion of study for our students. We have around 8 campuses dotted in and around Auckland, and I'll just mention a couple of those. So one of them is obviously our city campus, which is home to most of the faculties and the main study destination for our students. But we do also have some fantastic research facilities such as the Lee Marine Reserve, which is located near Goat Island. Great place to go and snorkel. I'm going to try and do that this weekend if I possibly can. And we also have our wine science laboratory, which is located off in Waiheke Island, again, which is a great place to go and visit, and a great place if you like wine as well. And then we also have our Newmarket campus, which is our Newmarket Innovation Research Precinct. If you have access to YouTube, I suggest you go onto the University of Auckland YouTube channel, and you can see lots of fantastic videos which will show you some great insights into what's happening at those various campus buildings in and around Auckland. So I also just wanted to highlight our long-standing partnership with Up Education and why it's a fantastic opportunity for you to do the certificate in foundation studies alongside the FPP program, because it really does help you when you are transitioning to your undergraduate program at the University of Auckland. I cannot tell you how much of a difference it makes. When you think an international student who is going straight to an undergraduate program into a different country and education system that they don't know, it can be quite challenging. But what's great is doing a certificate undergraduate and foundation studies really helps students transition and learn what the expectation is at undergraduate level at the University of Auckland, AUT and Victoria University of Wellington. So it's a really great opportunity for students to do. And some of the key things that they will study, and again, these are some of the things that Richard highlighted, is to be able to study content subjects related to their degree program, upskill in academic English, develop critical thinking skills, which is essential at undergraduate study, as well as learn independent study skills as well, which is a key concept in education here in New Zealand. So some fantastic skills students will learn as part of their foundation program. Subject students can go on to study. Again, my suggestion is to go onto the website, University of Auckland website or Up Education website, and you can see the different bachelor programs and what those entail. I cannot cover all of these right now, but based on previous Sri Lankan students who have come to study at the University of Auckland, most students study a Bachelor of Engineering Honours or a Bachelor of Science, and each of those programs, so for programs which are Bachelor of Engineering Honours or have an honours, are normally 4 years, and the normal bachelor programs are 3 years in length. But science, for example, has over 40 different subject areas and specialisations students can choose from, and engineering has 10 subject areas which students can choose from. You can also be pleased to know that a lot of our undergraduate programs are accredited and recognised worldwide, really giving our students global mobility after they've completed their program as well. Post-study work rights, so students who have completed a bachelor program, what's fantastic in New Zealand and is a really good perk is students can obtain up to 3 years post-study work rights. So that's an amazing opportunity to gain some fantastic work experience in New Zealand as well, which can then lead to other opportunities as well after that work, which could be residency and other things as well. I've already mentioned about the research centres at the University of Auckland. So we are research-led, and so we have some world-leading academics who will be teaching students. And in some cases, at bachelor level, students will be expected to complete a research project. And it could be that they do that research project in line with some of the research that's happening at the research centres or institutes, and with some of those world-leading academics as well. So some great opportunities for students to unleash their potential there. Student life and some of the support services that are available at the university. So I've just listed some of those here. So again, we're located in the heart of the city. It's a fantastic campus, lots of really new buildings and fantastic equipment available to students. Students also will have support in relation to health and counselling, disability services, childcare, well-equipped computer laboratories, and again, some fantastic library and learning facilities as well. So many different clubs and societies. I really think if you can think of a club, we probably have it. Quidditch, golf, sailing, country societies, Sri Lankan societies. We have that at the University of Auckland. So if you are going to study, my advice to you is join at least one club. That's what you need to do. Join just at least one. It will really enhance your experience at university. Accommodation wise, we have over 4,000 beds at the University of Auckland. And again, our accommodation is in and around Auckland, normally within a 5 to 10 minute walking distance to our city campus. So a huge selection of catered, self-catered and non-catered accommodation for our students. We also have an extensive international student support team who are there for our international students. Again, those can help you with visa-related queries or other things as well. And this is a team just dedicated to international students who will really help support you. And just finally, a couple of really awesome things that students can do as part of their undergraduate study. One of those is student exchange. That is something that I did at my undergraduate degree. And I can tell you it's one of the most life-changing things I ever did. It was the best thing I did. And again, being the University of Auckland, having over 129 different exchange agreements with universities across the world really does open up another fantastic experience for students, in addition to their undergraduate degree at the University of Auckland. So again, Auckland 360, check it out on our website. We do have a CDES, so that's our Careers Development Employability Services at the University of Auckland. Run a huge range of workshops, seminars, invite guest speakers, really to help students articulate themselves to New Zealand employers and across the world. So they're there to help support students with their employability skills. This is also a service which is available to students after they've completed their studies for up to 3 years. And normally what happens is you will be assigned someone from the careers team specifically for you to help you with your career objectives and career goals. And finally, if you have that entrepreneurial spirit or there's an idea that you want to make happen, the University of Auckland has some really, really fantastic opportunities. So we have something called our Unleash Space, which is a designated area really to help students if they have an idea or they have a concept for a particular product to help make it happen. So in this space, we have 3D printers, we have lots of other equipment, essentially a workshop. You'll have access to staff and academics who can help you learn how to use some of these tools and 3D printers to make something, to actually make it happen. We also have another project called Velocity, which sits in a business school. And again, we have mentors, we have people from industry, academics, other students as well, who really help mentor you on how to launch a business or how to set something up and to take you through your idea to know if it will ever actually work. So some really, really great themes to help unleash your potential there as well. That's it from me. I know I've had 10 minutes, so I do apologize if I have run over there. But I believe I will now hand over to my wonderful colleague, Marcel, who's at the Auckland University of Technology. So over to you, Marcel.
Kia ora for that, Ryan, and just want to wish you a happy birthday for yesterday, mate. No wonder you're doing all sorts of fantastic activities, so I hope you have a good one.
Birthday wishes, Ryan.
Fantastic. So, kia ora and ayubowan. My name is Marcel Fletcher. I'm the Regional Manager for India, Sri Lanka and the subcontinent. Thank you, Up Education and AIBS for having us today. It's our privilege actually to speak with you all. Again, before we start, another congratulations, happy Independence Day to you all over there. I hope you had some time to celebrate with your friends and family safely, and we look forward to the next one. So in terms of my presentation, I'll speak a little bit about AUT. I'll cover a little bit about the relationship with Up Education and AUT, and we'll go on to some of the study options. So AUT is one of the youngest, in fact, the youngest university in New Zealand. And saying that we have a long history of teaching. We've been teaching since 1895. First as a technical college, then as a polytechnic, and in the year 2000, we became a university. And in the year 2000, we like to say that, you know, we've become a very modern, very unique, and very future-focused university where modern meets world class. We're ranked in the top 1% of universities worldwide in that short space of time. We have a 5-star ranking for employability, and we also have a #1 ranking in New Zealand for international outlook. Now, what that means is we have students from over 150 different source countries. Our lecturers and staff are from all over the world, and they also bring their international experience with them in terms of teaching the curriculum and the way that they deal with the students from all over the world. In terms of the curriculum as well, we like to think it gets students work ready and world ready. It is an international curriculum, and many of our programs are registered overseas. So that means you'll be able to have a truly mobile qualification when you finish with us. So where in the world is New Zealand and, in fact, AUT? So you can see New Zealand there is right at the bottom of the world. And we're very lucky to be in this unique position where currently one of the world's safest places, as both Richard and Ryan have commented on. AUT in Auckland is in the North Island. AUT has 3 different campuses that students can choose to study in. If students are studying in the North Campus, they'll be studying education, health sciences, or sport and recreation. If they're studying in the City Campus, this is the main campus right next to University of Auckland, they'll be studying business, hospitality and tourism, engineering, sciences, design. All our key and most of our programs are offered in the City Campus. Now in the South Campus, it's a combination of programs that are offered in the city as well as in the North Shore Campus. Now all campuses are within maximum 30 minutes from each other, and there's also AUT shuttle buses between the campuses. So AUT is a very modern university. We have exceptional facilities and we always continue to invest in our infrastructure. So at the moment, our North Shore campus is the one undergoing the revamp, and they're going to have some amazing builds on that North Shore campus. $100 million is going in towards that campus. We have motion capture labs, we have film and TV studios, we have 2 restaurants, cafes on campus where students practice, hospitality and tourism, work in restaurants and things like that. We have an Olympic-sized swimming pool and gym in our North Shore campuses. So amazing facilities, very modern, very new. In terms of facilities, accommodation is also up there amongst our fantastic facilities that we have. We actually have 3 types of accommodation. We have the Wellesley student apartments right in the center of the city. And we have our Akaranga Student Village, which is in the North Shore campus. And we also have our brand new city campus accommodation for students once borders are open and we can accept international students. The good thing about accommodation is that they will be mixing with domestic students as well. So they get to meet other students who are from New Zealand, different parts. It's very social. There's lots of activities and you really make some great friends and contacts throughout your time at the accommodation. The other great thing is that it's 1-minute walk from your classroom. So that's fantastic as well. So AUT prides itself on connecting great graduates with world-class employers. So throughout your time studying, students will have the opportunity to meet employers and to get themselves work ready. Our Employability Centre hosts career fair days where students will be able to meet employers from New Zealand and around the world. Many multinational companies come through to AUT for each faculty. So that happens twice a year. AUT also has employability workshops. They have workshops that help you get ready for job interviews, fix up your CV, and lots of other things to get students ready for their work life in New Zealand or around the world. Some of the other student services that we have in the Student Services Centre is basically international student support, where you'll get help with visas, immigration if needed. We do have student mentor systems where we match you up with a student from your class who has been through maybe a couple of years earlier, who knows the ropes, who can help you out. It could be another international like yourself, or it could be a Kiwi, which is also good. There's an AUT student app which tells you where your classroom is, what time your classes start, so there's no excuses in terms of not showing up. You'll have everything there on the AUT app. Any news that comes about any emergency situation, you'll get notified on the AUT app. We have doctors, dentists, counselling services, you name it. The support is there for our international students. I mean, that's something that we pride ourselves on as well. We're a very hands-on and caring university. Now, the relationship with Up Education, I guess that continues on with the pastoral kind of support that we're just speaking about. We like to really hold the hands of our students who are coming from the foundation program into AUT. So we've been working together for around 18 years, AUT and Up Education. They've been delivering the AUT certificate in foundation studies for a very long time. Now, one thing to remember, that the certificate in foundation studies is actually the AUT curriculum that you are learning. So you're getting yourself ready for the higher studies at AUT when you do study the AUT certificate in foundation studies. We're actually only a 2-minute walk from each other. So the Up Education campus that delivers the foundation program is 2 minutes walk from AUT City Campus. So it's very handy. And with that, due to our strong partnership and also the proximity, we work really, really closely together here in New Zealand and onshore. We work with our partners, our regional representatives like Ritu and our directors, Chris, over there, really closely, and that makes for a fantastic partnership. There are lots of campus visits from Up Education students to AUT. We give them tours. We help them feel settled into AUT so they're very familiar. And at the same time, our AUT international staff will visit the campus at Up Education. So if students are worried about the next steps or they're worried about what study will look like at AUT, or they're worried about their results and marks and IELTS, then our AUT staff will visit them at the campus. So there's a fantastic pass rate between AUT and Up Education. The students coming in, because of the support that we offer, there is a great pass rate, and we like to see that in the numbers coming through to us. Now, if you do pass your AUT certificate in foundation studies at Up Education, you can come into any one of these degrees here, direct entry. So that's a great thing about it. The only programs that you would require the IELTS for are the health science programs and education programs, because they do require a high level of English that is a requirement from Nursing Council or various education councils of New Zealand. Again, we know that the world is still in chaos at the moment. It is getting better, but at the moment, AUT, New Zealand, we're a safe destination. We do realize that not everyone is lucky enough to be in the same situation. So there are some study online opportunities. Hopefully, by the time things crack on with the visas, with the vaccinations and things, we'll be in a much better place. But in the meantime, AUT does offer a number of online programs. I think that's about my 10 minutes. Thank you for your time. It's been great to chat with you, and we hope to see you here in New Zealand at some stage in the future. I'm going to pass on to my colleague now, Andrea, I believe.
Thank you, Marcel. I'll just get my screen up to share. Hopefully you can all see that now. So
Yes,
good morning, kia ora, aiboan, and vanakkam to everybody who's tuned in. My name is Andrea. I am the Regional Manager for South Asia and the Middle East at the university, and I'm based in Mumbai. So very close by in terms of both distance and time zone, very easy to get in touch with me if any of the students do have any queries, if they need any type of support with pre-enrollment questions about the university, etc. So if you can see that lovely picture in front of you, that's Wellington on a beautiful sunny day. It is one of the best cities in the world to live in, has been ranked #1 in the world 2 years consecutively running by Deutsche Bank. I think we're currently at #2. So if you do choose Victoria University of Wellington as your eventual study destination, it's a great place not just to study, but also to live and work as well. A apart from being one of the best places in the world to live, it is also a very creative city. So we have the film industry based there. This is something that's not very well known outside of New Zealand, but we do actually have quite a large film industry. We do a great deal of post-production and visual effects animation for many Hollywood productions as well. So if you've seen the latest Avengers movies, they all had some of their work done in New Zealand. The next round of Avatar movies is currently under production in New Zealand at the moment. So if any of your students, your children, you yourselves are looking for a career in the film industry, in VFX and animation, in games design, in other creative industries, then Wellington is a fantastic place to study. We're also very diverse. So 25% of Wellingtonians were born overseas. We do have a decent sized Sri Lankan community in Wellington as well. There are 2 Sri Lankan community associations based there. There's a Sri Lankan Sinhalese language radio program that goes on air once a fortnight as well. And the university also does have an active Sri Lankan Students Association. Wellington is the heart of the government. So it's where all the government offices are based. And when you graduate as an international student, you are allowed to work for the New Zealand government. You don't have to be a citizen. And that's somewhere where many of our alumni do find themselves on completion of their studies as future New Zealand civil servants working in a variety of departments. It's also a very high-tech city. So Wellington has about 1/3 of all of the IT jobs in New Zealand. There are many engineering IT firms based there, including some multinational ones apart from the domestic market. So if you are interested in a career as an engineer, as a business or data analyst, a cybersecurity expert, then again, fantastic opportunities for you within the city. And apart from that, it's a very safe, very friendly city to be based in and very walkable as well. So you can get quite fit and you can save a lot of money on transport because you can walk pretty much everywhere in Wellington. So now on to the university. Victoria University of Wellington was founded in 1897 and is currently the 3rd ranked university in New Zealand as per the QS rankings. We're number 223 in the world this year. We also have 11 subjects in the top 100, including 2 in the top 50 and others which are ranked within the top 150, top 200, etc. as well. We are one of only 14 universities in the world to have been awarded 5+ QS stars of excellence, which basically it shows that across all of the various ratings that QS ranks universities on, that we have achieved excellent in each of them. We have a population of about 22,000 students during normal non-COVID times, of which 3,800 students are international. And usually each year there would be around 30 to 40 Sri Lankan students enrolled with us in a variety of programs, from bachelor's to master's to PhD study. We do have more than 196 partner universities worldwide. So while the students are studying with us, they do have the opportunity to go on exchange to a very large variety of destinations, whether they'd like to go and experience life in the US or the UK or Europe or China or South America. That's something we do very much encourage students to do, to be able to experience 2 countries as part of their bachelor degrees. And for students who are interested in a career in research, we have 43 research institutes based on campus, and we were awarded the #1 university in New Zealand for intensity of high quality research. So some fantastic developments taking place there, and I've got some very talented students, including from Sri Lanka, conducting research in a variety of areas. Just to show you where we're located. As I said, Wellington is a very compact city, very easy to walk around. So if you see here, this is the main central business district. We have 3 campuses within the city. So #1 is Kelburn. That's where the majority of our subjects are taught. It's a beautiful campus on top of a hill, so a little bit of a walk to get up, easier going down, but great views across the city for our students. Number 2 is the business, government and law schools located at Pipitea. And where their location is, the law school is right opposite the Supreme Court of New Zealand. We've got the Executive Building of Parliament, otherwise known as the Beehive, right next door. You've also got some of the major multinational offices like the Big Four based within walking distance there. And if you can see number 3, that is our architecture and design campus at Te Aro, which is located right in the cultural heart of the city at Cuba Street.
And if I interrupt, point number 2, the Pipitea campus is right next door to the campus where the foundation program is delivered.
Yes, yes, it is. That's walking distance as well. And we do, so I was going to talk about the foundation students, but it's very easy for them to walk up to campus. And when our foundation students join us, we always do a traditional welcome for them at our marae on campus as well. The marae is, you could say, a traditional Maori meeting house. So they have a lovely traditional welcome, even while they're part of the foundation program, to show that they're already our students as well, even before they formally join the university. So just some visuals of campus. You'll recognize this building from the shop behind me as well. That's the Hunter building, one of our most well-known ones on campus. It's the main student hub at the Kelburn campus, the School of Business and Government at Pipitea, the School of Law at Pipitea, and the School of Architecture and Design at Te Aro. Little bit of information on how bachelor's degrees work at the university. So you have 2 types of bachelor's degrees. You have those which are very much structured, and the structured bachelor's degrees would be, for example, your bachelor's of engineering, your bachelor's of architectural studies, your bachelor's of laws. In these degrees, you will usually do either one major, or in terms of, for example, the Bachelor of Education, Teaching and Early Childhood Study and the Bachelor of Laws, you don't have a major, you're just working towards the overall degree. You then have your flexible bachelor's degrees. So if you're doing a Bachelor of Arts, a Bachelor of Commerce, or a Bachelor of Science, you have a lot of options available to you. So you can do one major, you can do 2 majors, you can do a major and minors. You can actually take a major from one degree and a major from another degree. You can do 2 conjoint degrees at the same time. So there's lots of flexibility. Students can structure their learning in a way that best meets their study outcomes, and we can provide them with advice on the best way to do that so that they can pick their courses to meet their needs, no matter how diverse those needs might be. So the bachelor's degrees that we offer, within these, there are more than 100 unique majors to choose from. We have 8 teaching faculties that these are spread across. So lots of choice for students, no matter what they're interested in. And we are more than happy to provide advice on what type of program and what type of major they should choose, based on what their interests are, what type of career outcomes they're looking for in the future. So I'm always happy for students and parents to get in touch with me and schedule a session to discuss their study plans and help them to pick the best possible program. We have a fantastic team at the university that looks after our international students. They honestly, hand on heart, care a great deal about our students. They want the very best outcomes for them. So for our international students, once they're enrolled, and this is also for our international students who are studying offshore, it's not that these services are only limited to once you join us onshore. Our students who are studying online also have access to all of these services, except for example, the airport meet and greet, obviously. So we have someone at the university who helps with visa extensions or visa changes. We have a staff member who helps with health insurance claims. We have academic and learning support who students can go to for assistance on their studies if they feel they're falling behind or that they're having some challenges. They run workshops as well to help the students with their study skills. We have student health so that they can see a doctor or nurse. We've got counselling if they're feeling homesick or having any other issues. We've got a buddy program so that when you first join the university, you've got a friend who's a current student who helps to look after you and show you around. And they also organize a lot of fun activities as well for the international students so that they can get to know each other. We also run some really well recognized and innovative extracurricular programs that the students can sign up for. So the Wellington International Leadership Program aims to give students a global perspective so that they understand issues and challenges facing the world, they receive diverse viewpoints. So they are always interacting with people like the ambassadors of foreign countries who are based in Wellington, come there to address them. They'll meet thought leaders in various areas. They do reflective essays. So it does help in terms of both increasing the global outlook as well as enhancing their employability when they finish. We also have the Wellington Plus program, which lets students sign up to a program where they complete volunteering activities. So it gives them some community involvement. It's a great way to meet other people. Again, CV enhancing so that you've got some community service on your resume for when you're looking for jobs. It really promotes that spirit of civic engagement. We are a global civic university. That's our model. So there's a lot of engagement with similar universities worldwide. And as a capital city university, we also have some great connections in the public sector and with other international organizations that meet that model. We also offer accommodation to our students. So we have 13 halls of residence that are spread out throughout the city, and they're usually 5 to 10 minutes walking distance from each of our campuses. So students will pick a hostel depending on which of the campuses they're going to be studying at. And the UP students who are doing foundation studies in Wellington also have the option of staying at some of these hostels while they're completing that program. Or they can also do homestays with Kiwi families as well. That's a nice option for them too, if they'd like more of a family environment while they're studying. The hostels can be catered, which means 3 meals a day are provided to them, or they can also be self-catered if the students would like to cook for themselves. And if they have any type of dietary requirements, for example, if they are vegetarian, if they need halal food, if they have a gluten allergy, then that will all be catered for by the hostels. There's no limits to that. You just have to let them know in advance what your dietary requirements are, and they will make sure there's suitable options for you. They've got some great facilities too. So some of them have gyms, music rooms, architecture and design studios based there at the hostels as well, for example. We do have a career services department. So we've already spoken a little bit about the work scenario in New Zealand, that the bachelor's degree graduates will receive a 3-year work visa on completion, which is fantastic. And that's an open work visa. They can work anywhere they want in New Zealand for any employer during that time. So what our career services department does is they prepare our students for the workforce. So they run workshops, they assist with CVs, cover letters, careers counseling, how to apply for jobs in your field. And they also organize career expos twice a year, where companies from the region come in to meet our students and let them know about job opportunities. Some of those companies do also interview or shortlist students on the day. If you get some quite major ones coming in, like Ernst & Young, Google, Microsoft, etc. So we do have a very good employability rate afterwards, with 95% of graduates in employment or further studies within 6 months of graduating. And I've now, sorry, one second. Right. So that's the end of my presentation. I did want to speak a little bit about the partnership between Victoria University, Wellington and UP Education. We welcome students from a very wide variety of countries to study with us through the Foundation Studies program. And what I find is that those students, when they have completed Foundation Studies, they do very well within their bachelor's as well. I think the name is very apt. It gives them a wonderful foundation in terms of preparing them with the study skills that they need, preparing them with the attitude that they need to do well within their bachelor's degree. So we do find them really excelling in their studies after that. They integrate well into university life. We are hoping to welcome many more students from Sri Lanka into the Foundation Studies program, and from there into our bachelor's degrees. We're all very eager for borders to reopen, to have our students down on campus once more, but please do be reassured that while borders remain shut, all of us within the university sector, within up education, we will be providing whatever support the students need while they are studying online and while they are waiting to join us. So they won't be by themselves or struggling. They'll always have someone to reach out to and to lend a hand. Right. I'll just pass over now to the next person.
Thank you, Andrea. Thank you very much. And of course, Marcel, Ryan, and Richard, for your wonderful presentations, very well laid out, very comprehensive and insightful as well. I feel like going back to school, doing my O-levels, and then start all over again. So it's Q&A time now. We could now open out for questions and answers. Everybody, you wish to ask a question, you can unmute yourself, both the mic as well as the camera, and you can ask the questions. If you want to type your questions on the chat box, you're most welcome to do that. So any questions? Children, parents, our partners in the industry? So while they gather their kind of thoughts, can I just stimulate the presenters with maybe one or two questions? So this is probably directed to Richard. One of the concerns that the prospective students have is how long this pandemic will continue, borders being closed. New Zealand may open up borders, but Sri Lanka borders may be still closed. So in that situation, the question they had was, yes, the FPP can be taken totally online, 100% virtual. Once they do complete that, because the examination is online as well, once they do pass the FPP test, and if the borders are still closed, can they seamlessly continue to do the balance part of the foundation certificate online in a virtual environment?
So the answer to that is, Hiran, absolutely. So all our 3 foundation programs are currently delivered online. So we have students, every intake who started last year and this intake this year are all having online lessons being delivered. And there are still students in New Zealand who are getting face-to-face, but teachers are also delivering online. And I think one of the advantages of online is, you can complete the FPP program, you can get your final offer from us, you can pay your fees, and as soon as you've paid your fees, an acceptance letter can be issued. You don't need to apply for a visa. You don't need to spend the 6 to 8 weeks dealing with the visa process. So it could mean you actually start the foundation program online earlier than you would if you had to fly to New Zealand. So there is some advantages. The disappointing part is you don't get to experience life and culture and customs in New Zealand and the advantages of New Zealand. But having said that, the New Zealand government has recently announced that another 1,000 international students who will get the ability to come and study in New Zealand. Again, these students had previously been in New Zealand, and when COVID came, they went home again. So they previously had a visa, but they may need to renew the visa. So my expectation is, if that 1,000 works well, the New Zealand government may start adding progressive numbers to it. So who knows what's going to happen, but the more countries that have are vaccinated, the sooner something is going to happen in the world. But it's definitely not going to happen this year. It's not going to be at least till the earliest, till 2022, I would imagine.
Right. That's very good news, Richard, because we really don't know how things will unfold. I know it will be a very gradual process, even for Sri Lankan students to progress. There might be international travel norms that may get evolved, like you need to be inoculated before you start crossing borders. So in the absence of that, what you told us, the ability to study online is very, very encouraging. And I'm sure most of the prospective students will take it as a very positive element in the foundation certificate and the FPP program as well. Another concern or a question that has propped up time and again, Richard, is the visa. Obviously, there is no guarantee of a visa being granted to travel to New Zealand. But if you could kindly explain the mitigating processes that have been put in place to make sure that if all goes well, there should not be a major worry for the student to obtain the visa to transfer to New Zealand.
So, I mean, the visa process with New Zealand is not as challenging as people would expect it to be. It can be all done online. You can actually, when the visa port opens up, in other words, when New Zealand government decided they will start accepting new visa applications, you can actually go online and start working on your visa application. And it's not until you've uploaded all your documents and you've pushed the send button does it actually end up going to Immigration New Zealand. And it's really important that this application is done online, because if you make a manual visa application, Immigration New Zealand may also require to see your passport. You will then need to courier that documentation to a visa office, and then somebody in that visa office then has to scan that documents in the application in online, so that it just delays the process. So the important thing is to get yourself ready. The college has a list of all the visa requirements. There are plenty of licensed immigration advisors in Sri Lanka that can help students to do a visa application. And, it's not as challenging, and I expect it will be worked quite seamlessly for good students.
Right. Thank you very much, Richard. So most of our students who have experienced or have been looking at options in Australia, so they have a fair understanding of the process, the visa grants. I'm also made to understand, I think I shared this news that Sri Lanka is going to have a full-fledged High Commission in the very, very near future, where the visas probably will be processed on ground as well. Andrea, probably you may have some privileged information on this. I'm not too sure, being in the industry, the immigration world before.
So I can explain a little about how the visa process works. So I used to work in the Mumbai office of Immigration New Zealand. I was a immigration manager with them. So I used to manage a team of officers, and I did work in the student visa processing department as well. So New Zealand, because it's an online application system, the visas are usually processed in hubs. So they won't necessarily be done at the High Commission. They would be done in one of the hubs. So Mumbai was the student visa processing hub for Sri Lanka as well. So they had a team of officers who were very well trained in Sri Lankan documentation and in education and financial systems and so on, so that they could then successfully do those applications. And then what students just have to do is they do their online application, they give their passport to VFS. VFS gets the passport scanned. It used to be sent to the office in Mumbai. I don't know if it still is or if they're doing it in country these days. And then your passport is returned and you get an e-visa once the visa is granted. So it's a very easy process. I do recommend that students take the help of a student agent or a licensed advisor when they're doing their process, because sometimes it's a little bit difficult to know how you should present your documentation, especially the financial information that shows that you have sustainable funds for your 3 years of study with a bachelor's degree. So please, if you don't have previous experience with visa applications, please do take some help with that rather than trying to do it by yourself, because the last thing you want is to get a visa rejection just because you've missed out some documentation or you haven't shown it in quite the proper way. One benefit to students who've started studying online is that when immigration officers look at your documents, what they are trying to see is that you're a bona fide student, that you genuinely intend to study. So someone who has actually already completed part of their program online, they've done well in it, that proves that you are a bona fide student. It proves that you're working towards a goal, that you're very serious about getting to your bachelor's studies and completing your qualification. So you've already ticked some of the boxes when it comes time for your visa application. Wow. So you've got that reassurance at least that it's a very positive sign on your side when you apply for your visa with immigration.
Thank you, Andrea. That was very valuable Sorry, go ahead, Richard.
I just add one thing to that. You know, students sometimes apply to a different country, Australia, or Canada, and they're rejected by those particular countries. Just because you've been rejected by another country, don't assume they're going to be rejected by New Zealand. Every country has different checking systems, different requirements in terms of issuing a visa. The most important thing is in a visa application is to be truthful, to be honest. You know, don't withhold information. And as Andrea says, using a licensed immigration advisor is very important in helping to present the information in the way that Immigration New Zealand is expecting to see it.
Thank you, Richard. And as Andrea endorsed, I think some of the students who are listening today, I think you need to derive comfort that once you are enrolled in the FPP, which is a pathway program leading to the foundation and then thereafter leading to the university degree, you are an enrolled student into a New Zealand education system or a higher education institution. So that itself will establish some amount of credibility, bona fide, that you are a genuine student. That's one of the key aspects that the visa officers will be looking at. And also, if I may add to what Richard was also saying, is that every stage when we enroll a student to the FPP, there will be a conditional offer given by Up Education and the respective university so that you have documents to prove that you're joining into a pathway program. So the pathway destination, the degree provider, the certificating foundation provider is giving documentary evidence that this is a genuine guaranteed pathway to higher studies. So those, and then when the FPP program is completed and when you transfer to Up Education for the balance part, again you get a updated conditional offer. So at every stage, students will be supported with this documentation, which will certainly help secure the visa, in my view. Right. Do we have other questions? It seems students. So on their behalf, can I ask the presenters if they could share their presentations? I'm sure the kids might want them to run through again. We will be sharing with them the recorded version of this webinar, but I appreciate if you can share the individual presentations as well. I'm just trying to see whether there's any questions on the chat box.
Here, Anne, could I just mention as well, and I'm sure,
yes,
probably speaking on behalf of Andrea and Marcel as well, if you have a group of students who have started in the FPP program and they are interested, obviously come to University of Auckland, Victoria University of Wellington or AUT, and you did want us to arrange a personal session for them, we're more than willing to do that as well. So definitely we'll share a presentation, but happy to provide more information in more detail to those students who are interested at universities.
That's appreciated, Ryan. Well, thank you very much, and Marcel and Andrea as well, because that'll give them a good understanding about the destination degree, that they are pursuing. And so when we do counsel, and once we cross the FPP part, and if they want to get more details, we certainly will be grateful for your session of one-on-one counseling if possible. So our team will make a note of that. So if there is any specific areas that they want to address with the respective universities, we will certainly pass it on to you. Thank you for that initiative, Brian. Great. It appears that there aren't any questions. Let me just quickly go through the chat box. Yeah, I don't see any. So in that event, we will wind up this session, 60 minutes. I think we have gone a little past 60 minutes, spending time with the three wonderful universities and the three wonderful representatives. And of course, our partner, Up Education, represented by Richard, Chris. I can see Tiffany, Ritu, the entire team supporting us in this endeavor. So let me take this opportunity to thank each and every one of you, the presenters, Richard, Andrea, Ryan, and Marcel. It's wonderful to see you and meet you, even virtually. And I'm sincerely hoping, I've been telling Richard, no sooner the borders open, hop over, Sri Lanka is waiting for you. So I would say the same thing to Andrea. I know you're closer home. Marcel and Ryan, please, you have an open invitation to come and see us.
Thanks, Iran.
Yeah. And thank you for your support. I have to appreciate that. My team is very, very excited, and so am I. And I'm hoping that this project that we have embarked on will be a great success, thanks to all the partners and all of you in particular. So thank you very much. Thank you very much for the participation, prospective students, parents, and of course, my industry friends and colleagues. Thank you again for supporting us in this venture. I hope we can do something very rewarding together. And Team AIBS, thank you for organizing this. I think very well done. Last but not least, Chris and Tiffany, I know you're working hard behind the scenes and giving me all the tips, the marketing insights. So thank you for your support again. And hope all of you will have a great day and going into the weekend, a wonderful weekend as well. Thank you for today and being with us. Thank you very much.
Thanks,
Thank you
Iran.
for the opportunity.
Thank you.
Thank you.